Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Nick here. Hope you've been enjoying Tenant Month, or Tenant Months, actually, on the Hooniversals lately, even though we've only posted like 2 videos and a third's been almost finished. But we've got some more coming, hopefully, soon, and we've got next month as well, so yeah, Tenant Months will continue. But today I wanted to do this video about the entertainment ranking of the 50 best Doctor Who episodes of the modern era, 2005 onwards, which was posted on Thursday, the 23rd of April 2026. So this caused a little bit of a stir on X, formerly known as Twitter, with Doctor Who fans responding very negatively to this article, Human Nature and the Family of Blood, at joint 26 and 25. Yeah, I know a lot of people would want it to be top 10, top 5, 1 and 2. But yeah, with 26, 25 is halfway down the list, exactly halfway. I would say it probably deserves to be a little bit higher. The thing would be more is what episodes would come above it. What's the top 24? I think that's more of the worry for this story rather than its placement. Uh, 24 is the Christmas Invasion. I wouldn't put that above this Human Nature Family Blood, but it is a really good story. The 2005 Christmas special, airing as part of Series 2. Yeah, I think it's the best Christmas special. And it's one of the best episodes of Series 2, counting it included in there. I wouldn't put it above Human Nature Family of Blood, but it is really, really good. 10 out of 10. It probably would be in the top 50 for me. Maybe, I don't know about top 30, but definitely top 50. Look, there's quite a few episodes to give 10 out of 10 in the new series. Every series has got at least one, in my opinion. Same for the specials mini-series? Yes. Yeah. Although, spoiler alert, the 2022 specials, the one I give a 10 out of 10, is not on the list. But also, spoiler alert, it's not Legend of the Sea Devils, which is also not on this list. Number 23, Rose, the very first episode of the revival, airing in March 2005 and beginning Series 1. And this is our lowest rated 9th Doctor episode on the list, as we've had every other Doctor, apart from 14, on this list so far of the revival. Oh, and we've also had the Fugitive Doctor, but not the War Doctor as well. Rose. I don't know if I would put it at the top 50 scoring-wise, but totally makes sense vibes-wise. Like, it's the first one. It's the start. It's where it all begins. And, say what you like about the how it holds up later down the line, or even on its own merits. But same with an Unearthly Child. But part 1 more so than the other 3, because the other 3 aren't really well received. But, Rose and Unearthly Child Part 1 and Unearthly Child, because it shares the individual episode name, shares the title with the story name. They're more heralded as the first rather than for being incredibly good, although they are also really good. The rest of Unearthly Child, but the first episode, and same with Rose, they are still really good. They're more heralded for being the first of the show ever and the first of the revival, respectively, but they're also good. They're also really good. Number 22, A Good Man Goes to War, from Series 6, airing in June 2011. I probably would put this above Rose, because I gave it a 9 out of 10. It was it 3rd or 4th favourite of Series 6 for me? Definitely top 5, might be 4th. The other one in my top 5, along with Doctor's Wife and Girl Who Waited, is God Complex. I don't know if that's on this list. I don't think it is, which is a shame. But yeah, Good Man Goes to War. Again, some people may not like it, but I think it's really good, and I think it's got some well reception from people. It really depends who you ask in some of these episodes cases, because you'll have your uber super duper popular stories, maybe some people who think they're a bit overrated or aren't as keen on them, and you've got these episodes that are like super hated and bashed to half to death, with a massive club, and then you'll have some people come along and say, "But I actually kind of think you're okay," or see what you were going for. And some cases, and then in between, you've got ones where it like really depends on who you ask. Some people would go for, like, say an episode is the former. Some people might say it's the latter. And not everyone's going to make a correct consensus. We're going to get to probably the biggest example of that later. Oh, fuck off! I've just seen number 21 is The Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special, airing in November 2013 as part of the Series 7 specials. Okay, I know. Okay. Back what I was saying about some people, depends who you ask. Day of the Doctor is still really popular for the most parts. It still came 5th in the 2023 poll for DWM after winning the 2014 one. Sorry, I almost did what the collection box set booklets did and say 2013 poll when it was actually 2014. After Time of the Doctor had aired, but before Deep Breath. Doctor Who booklet people, you might want to make that correction before the next box set comes out. But yeah, anyway, Day of the Doctor. This is my favourite story of the show, and we watched it literally last week when it was airing on BBC Three, and it's still really good. It still really holds on. But I've even noticed some things I didn't think I noticed before. In some cases, granted, I could have been a bit longer, and it could have had more stuff, and some alternative endings, like from Stu Bagford, or alternative scenarios. Probably would have been better. It would have been nice to have Christopher Eccleston there, even though 9, 10, and 11 probably wouldn't be so happy to see 9 there. Same with 8, so the War Doctor does kind of make sense in concept. And John Hurt is amazing. Also, War Doctor, final New Who Doctor on the list. Not counting the duplicate Doctor, nor the Richard E. Grant cameo in Rogue. I don't think Rogue's on this list either, to be honest. That was unfairly on a worst 20 list by Doctor Who TV, but that was voted by people. It was on the top 20 worst stories of the revival on their most recent publication, and that was really, really undeserved. And that one had a lot of anti-13 and 15 bias. So the opposite of what a tweet on Twitter responding to this was saying. Speaking of 13 and 15 bias, again, I don't think we've had any 13 or 15 stuff since numbers 40 to 50. It's all been 9, 10, 11, and 12 since number 40. Yeah, actually incredibly not biased towards 13 and 15 because they're towards the bottom. What was that comment saying that it was biased against them? It looked like it was a bias towards them, so I don't know. To be honest, it does feel a bit more biased against them anyway, so maybe something will change later down the line. Who knows? Numbers 20 and 19 is The Stolen Earth and Journey's End from Series 4, airing in June and July 2010. Not surprised this one is here, nor this high. I don't know if I would rank it this high. Again, Day of the Doctor is my favourite, and it's only 21. But yeah, I think this one should, even if I was taking that out of the equation, the fact it's my favourite out of the equation. Stolen Earth Journey's End, I think, isn't as popular as Day of the Doctor. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know Stolen Earth is lauded a lot, and for good reason. Journey's End less so. It's not a bad spot for it, but considering we've had better episodes, including, in my personal opinion, the best episode already, then I think it could have been lower. But, again, this is your opinion. Number 18. Okay, this is... I was going to say it's ridiculous, but actually I wouldn't go that far. It's Listen from Series 8, airing in September 2014. Now, I know this episode is quite a push-pull, depends who you ask kind of episode. I think it's good, but not amazing. Like the lovers of this episode think. It's not number 8, it's not 18th. I'm sorry, Capaldi stands. It's not that good. It's good. It's got some really interesting concepts. A little full of itself, but very interesting and kind of experimental, I'm not going to lie. But it's not top 18 of all of New Who worthy. I'm sorry. Out of 195 episodes, maybe top 100, but not top 18. Number 17 and 16 were a bit on a bit of a Stephen Moffat kick, but we go to the 10th Doctor, the Series 4's Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead from May and June, respectively, of 2008. This is a good placement for this story. This is my favourite story of Series 4. One of the best for David Tennant's 10th Doctor, in my opinion. So I think 16, 17, I don't know if that's where I would put it, but I think that is a good placement for this list. So a story I would put it below it, but is one I also think is really good, and I think it's the best of Series 2. The Impossible Planets and Satan Pit in 15th and 14th, airing in, I think that this is May and June as well, 2006. Series 2, as I mentioned, it's best of Series 2 in my opinion, and I'm happy to see this here. I wouldn't put this above Silence in the Library, Forest of the Dead. So I think I would actually swap these two over, which would make more sense considering what number 13 is going to be. But yeah, this is a good placement for that. It might be a little bit high, but I'm happy to accept it. Number 13, I'm not going to scream and cry and bitch and moan about this one, but I know about half the world will. Midnight from Series 4, airing in June 2008. Grab your pitchforks and torches. It's time for a rebellion, because Midnight is not top 10. I'm being fucking serious. Like, I think most of the hatred, aside from Waters of Mars being so low down, was probably because Midnight's not top 10. Okay, that statement's probably a bit of a joke, but I'm probably not that far off. I think a lot of people are pissed that it's not top 10. Yeah, but not as low down as Waters of Mars, just not top 10. In which case, I say get the fuck over it. Waters of Mars, totally understand and agree. Midnight not being top 10, get over it. It's 13th. It's high. It's very high. I mean, it's not as high as top 10, obviously, but, you know, I mean, if the two-parters were being ranked as one placement, then it probably would be top 10. Unless there's only two-parters on this in this next bit. Actually, we got two episodes that are single-parters that aren't top two-parters that are sharing a placement. We're going to get to those. But next up, number 12, is the following episode from Midnight, Turn Left, also airing in June 2008 as part of Series 4. See what I mean about swapping Science and Library, Forest of the Dead, and Impossible Planet Satan Pit round on this list, and then it's a 3-story streak. Interestingly, Entertainment believe, or at least the people writing this article, choose Turn Left as their preferred episode of Midnight/Turn Left. And this Turn Left is also very well received, is like uber popular, or not quite as much as Midnight, but it's like, if you ask people to rank the Series 4 episodes, or Series 4 stories, and Midnight would almost certainly win number 1 on most people's lists. Not everybody's, but most people would probably put Midnight. Chances are Turn Left would equally as amount of times come second. And on the ones that wouldn't put Midnight first, chances are it's most likely the other way round. Turn Left comes first, Midnight second. Now, there are lists out there where something else will come first, like mine, where Science in the Library comes first. And then these other two may come second and third, but you might get lists where they're separated for a bit, or further down. But yeah, anyway, grab your pitchforks and torches. Turn Left is not in the top 10 either. It's 12. It's number 12. Come on, guys. Waters of Mars fans, World of Time fans, they're screaming in anger about their episodes being so low down. You guys made it into the top 15. Top 13 even. So yeah. I know. If you love it, you love it. But, my favourite episode is 21st. So, yeah. At this point in time, I'm starting to wonder if that comment about the 13th and 15th Doctor biased was actually against them rather than for them. I think The Well is the highest rated 15th Doctor story on this list, and 13's is Fugitive of the Judoon. Still, there's quite a few episodes on this list from 10, 11, and 12 that I would happily swap out with a couple of 15 and 13 and 14 episodes, and some 10, 11, and 12s that didn't make the cut. There was actually a comment about that. Actually, there was not only was it a bias towards Doctors 9 to 12, but also there was quite a few 10, 11, and 12s that they wouldn't have on this list, especially 11 and 12. I agree, but I won't be that harsh. Well, actually, I am because I'm doing this video or videos. Thankfully, number 11 is actually one of my favourite 11th Doctor stories, Vincent and the Doctor from 2010. June 2010, airing from Series 5. Now, I would again make the joke about grabbing your pitchforks and torches, but I think Vincent and the Doctor has a bit more of a. Again, some people may not like it as much as others vibe, as opposed to Midnight and Turn Left. Midnight, by the way, I've had a similar experience too with Waters of Mars. Although, yeah, again, I don't think they're the two best of David Tennant's era. I think that goes to. Actually, that's going to come to an episode later. Or second, because that's human nature. Anyway, Vincent the Doctor is my favourite from Series 5, beating out one other episode, which I think is coming up later, but I do rank a very close second. And I think it's my second favourite Matt Smith episode after Day of the Doctor. And I think of the 2010s, it also ranks incredibly high, like top 5. Yeah, Vincent the Doctor, fucking fantastic. It's a shame it's not in the top 10 of this list. And now we come probably to the most strangest placement on this list. Numbers 10 and 9. Hellbent and Heaven Sent. There's a lot to unpack here. First of all, they've actually got the episodes swapped around. Hellbent actually comes after Heaven Sent. But they're counting these two episodes as a two-parter, but they're actually supposed to be individual episodes that just link to each other. Same with Face the Raven, that ties into them too. Probably because it's written by the same writer and they lead directly into each other. But I do think they are counted as separate episodes. Separate stories, separate serials. So not a two-parter in the same sense as, say, the next story on this list, which I'll get to in a moment, or like Impossible Planet Satan Pit. It's not like that. It's more like the Monk trilogy where they led into each other, but it wasn't really a three-parter. Yeah, so that's an interesting choice that they decided to rank those two episodes together and say it's a two-parter. And even more interestingly is that they put Hellbent as the first episode. What was beforehand, they've been doing episode 1, episode 2 of this two-parter, but this time they put 2, then 1 of the episode. So whether that's because they don't really count it as a proper two-parter, or they do count it as a two-parter, but they acknowledge that it's quite different, so they're putting the episode that they think is slightly better as what would be number 9, and the lesser one as number 10, as opposed to in order. Yeah, anyway, so Hellbent and Heaven Sent, or Heaven Sent and Hellbent, as it probably should have said, if they're going down this direction. From Series 9, November 2015 for Heaven Sent, December for Hellbent of that year. Right, Heaven Sent. Best episode of Peter Capaldi's era, one of the best episodes of the entire show, ranked best episode by Readers of Doctor Who Magazine 2023, my second favourite episode of the 2010s, my favourite, like I said, I mentioned, favourite of Capaldi's one. That episode is deserving of possibly the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 spot on this list. Heaven Sent, on the other hand, is my least favourite 12th Doctor story, and one of the weakest stories of the revival. Again, I won't go too much into detail about the episodes, but yeah, Hellbent is one of my least favourite episodes of the revival. I think I used to rank it as my least favourite, but in the last couple of years since doing the review, I have somewhat kind of understood what it wants to do, what it's trying to do. I just don't think it does it very well, and I don't really like it. But I think now I probably would say Asylum of the Daleks, which will not be on this list, is probably the weakest episode of the revival, which is probably a good thing it's not on this list then. I think I still would say this is the weakest Capaldi episode, especially when saying Twice Upon a Time as that's a really good episode 412. It's not a very good episode in general, and even less so for the first Doctor. This is an episode that's incredibly polarizing. This is the episode I mentioned as the biggest example of you have some people who think it's amazing, absolutely love it, and some people who don't like it. I'm in that camp. Like I said, I used to dislike it more, but and I still stand by my opinions. I maybe kind of slightly understand why some people would put it in the top spots, but I don't agree, and maybe with some bits, but I do not think it does it very well. But yeah, you have a lot of people who are uber mega fans of this story. It's very Marmite. I think it used to be more unpopular, but it's lost some of that unpopularity, either due to time or because people got more pissy with other stories. I would say pissy, yeah, because other stories got more hate later down the line. I won't. Yeah, I will. I won't say that. Not all of it is probably out of in bad faith. There's a lot of good faith, but there might be some bad faith criticisms, just like there is for some of the ones that came later that got quite a bit of bad faith criticism. But for me, like I said, I have slightly kind of understood it a little bit more, but I still don't think it's very good. I still don't like it, and I think it's bad, personally. But yeah, I've done a review on my personal main channel if you want to hear my opinions. But like I said, since then I have somewhat slightly understood a bit more what it's going for, but I still don't think it does it very well. But yeah, it is the biggest example of very polarizing. In the Doctor Magazine poll from 2024, it came about 18th out of Peter Capaldi's 36 stories. That's stories, not episodes. So that was about halfway down the list, which kind of sums it up perfectly. At least the fan reception to that story sums it up perfectly. There's also people who would say Heaven Sent is overrated, but I think that's more of a vocal minority. I think Heaven Sent is usually lauded as one of the best episodes of the show, and as I mentioned, has even reached the highest ranked episode of every story up to Power of the Doctor in the most recent DWM poll. I think what these two episodes do is actually really interesting. Is it does show Stephen Moffat's writing at its best and worst, like his style of writing, especially more pretentious and style that many fans started to notice as this era and also Sherlock went on, and can look back and in retrospect, then it can get quite pretentious in quite a few places. We mentioned this with Listen, with that being quite experimental. These two episodes kind of do that this style of writing that Moffat did, but it's at its best. It's handled really good and really well done in Heaven Sent, but in my personal opinion, handled really badly in Hellbent. I know a lot of people say it's really good in both episodes, but I have to respectfully disagree. And I think some people might not even think it's as good in the first one, but that's probably again a minority. I don't know if all the people who think Heaven Sent is overrated would say Hellbent's better. I think most people would still probably pick Heaven Sent, but I'm not taking that as entire 100% fact. It's just from what I've heard from people, so it's just a kind of a consensus guess rather than consensus fact. Okay, numbers 8 and 7, as mentioned, this is a two-parter, a proper two-parter, not two episodes linked to each other that the articles decide are a two-parter, but they're not actually. They're two individual episodes, and I think that's the reason why Hellbent's so high, is because it's not really part two of a two-parter. It's a second episode that just is the second of two episodes that are linked to each other, 3 episodes even, counting Face the Raven. But it's not a proper two-parter in the traditional sense like this next story, which is probably why it's so high up, as opposed to if it was on its own, where I could see it being on the top 50. I wouldn't agree, but I could see it being on the top 50, but not number 10 or number 9. Which is probably why it's ranked 10th rather than 9th on this list. I think they chose Heaven Sent as their preferred episode. But again, it's a special case compared to the other stories that are two-parters on this list. And I think Utopia Sound Drums Last of the Tunnels, it will not be on this list because I think there's 3 episode joint placement. So it's just the 2 episode joint placements for two-parters and Hellbent/Heaven Sent for some reason. Okay, so 8 and 7 is The Empty Child and The Doctor Dancer, sticking with Stephen Moffat episodes from Series 1 and airing in May 2005. The Empty Child actually aired on my birthday that year. Exciting. I think out of the 3 Doctor Who episodes that aired on my birthday, the others being... Hello, Nick from the future here, just coming in to quickly intervene. I accidentally said the Smugglers episode 4 at this point in time when I should have said The Gunfighters episode 4. I did say The Gunfighters a little bit after, but I wanted to correct myself. It was The Gunfighters episode 4. I thought it was the title of that episode was The OK Corral, but I wasn't sure. That is in fact true. I've checked not long before recording this bit. So yes, episode 4 of The Gunfighters, The OK Corral, aired on my birthday in 1966. Also filming on the backdrop of 13th and 15th Doctor and Companions, because we need a bit more 13 and 15 love in this video, because the list didn't. Okay, I'm going to hand myself back over to my past self to continue the video. And The Rebel Flesh, which is part 1 of a two-parter as well. Let's say, safe to say, Empty Child is easily the best episode of those three by a country mile and then some more miles. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And yeah, this episode, like, we're coming into territory like with the Doctor Who magazine poll stories, where it's the popularity contest story contenders, like it's the ones you expect to be up there because they usually are. Which, okay, there have been some stories that have been lower down that you would expect to be higher up in this popularity contest. But Heaven Sent, Empty Child Doctor Dances, a couple more coming up. These are the popularity contest stories that you'd expect to be in the top 10 episode or top 10 stories, but not for no good reason. They have good reasons for the most part. And yeah, this is a great two-parter. It's not my favourite of the Ninth Doctor stories. It's not even... I think I rank it 4th. Don't shoot me. But I think Father's Day is better, which is not on this list. And I think the two Dalek stories are better. Like I mentioned, Battle Path and the Ways is my favourite. Not just series finale, and it's also a regeneration story. And it's my second favourite New Who after Day of the Doctor. And I think, spoiler, it's top 5 of overall, like, ever. Like, where would it turn up on my overall list, like best episodes ever, like my personal ranking? It was very high up. Yeah, I think there's like maybe no. If I'm going to do that video, I'm going to save that. As I've already mentioned my favorite. I've already mentioned another contender for top 10. Might mention one or two others. I'm going to save Battle Path and Ways where I would place that to that video if I make it. But suffice to say, second favourite of New Who. So there you go. That's your jumping off point, and easily the best of the 2000s, and absolutely 100% the best of Christopher Eccleston and Series 1. But Empty Child Doctor Dances I put 4th. But it's still really good. Like, I still give it 10 out of 10. The top 4 are all 10 out of 10. So of Series 1 / Ninth Doctor. So absolutely. Interestingly, number 6 and 5 are Army of Ghosts and Doomsday from Series 2, airing in July 2006. Okay, I understand this story being ranked on the list, but 6-5's a bit high. Now, granted, it's probably mainly due to that ending on the beach with the Doctor and Rose. Plus, Daleks v Cybermen is epic. Even if it's very more Dalek-sided, like more biased to the Daleks, very one-sided towards them in their favour, despite having so many Cybermen, like, they're taken out really easily. So, but Army Ghost Doomsday is really good. It's my least favourite of the first 4 series finales, although I would put it above End of Time, so not the weakest of the 10th Doctor finales. But it is really good, and we'll be looking forward to its 20th anniversary in a couple of weeks' time. As I mentioned, it's almost school reunions soon. But yeah, there are some really good episodes. I would even understand them getting into the top 50. I don't know if I would agree, but I would understand it. 5 and 6. It's mainly because of that Rose scene, isn't it? Let me see what it says. Yeah, it's the 10 Rose stuff and Daleks versus Cybermen. Okay, speaking of Daleks, number 4 is that. Yeah, the highest rated 9th Doctor story on the list, Dalek from Series 1, airing at the very end of April 2005. And yeah, by the way, we've had the highest rated 12th Doctor story. That was Heaven Sent and Hellbent together. But the way with them listing it, it looks like Heaven Sent slightly pips Hellbent in their opinion, or they got the episodes mixed round because they're counting them as a two-parter, so maybe they got the episodes mixed up. But yeah, I mean, Heaven Sent, yes, I totally agree. Hellbent, absolutely not. But if they were going for the slightly better one is above it. But if it's just an episode mixed round, then well, like I said, I don't think it's a two-part. It's not a two-parter. So, anyway, so highest rated Ninth Doctor episode is Dalek, which, like I said, I think the highest rated for him, my personal favourites for him, is the Series 1 finale, which is not on this list. What? Wait, seriously? You put Twice Upon a Time over Bad Wolf Parting of the Ways? What? And also Power of Three for some reason, and some of the other episodes I thought was like, okay, that's an interesting choice. But thankfully Dalek, which has over time become even more popular, I believe, or many people vocalizing it as one of the best episodes of the revival. Yeah, good reason. Like, it is really good. Like, I say really good as in like it's amazing. This is so, yeah. Securing the number 4 spot is well deserved. Absolutely brilliant. Moving on to number 3, what our highest rated 11th Doctor story. So we've only got 10th Doctor after this for the top 2. And it's the 11th Hour, the first episode of Series 5 from April 2010, Matt Smith's debut, and in my opinion, the best post-regeneration story. Sorry, Spearhead from Space, you're a very close second. But yeah, no, I've got to go to 11th Hour. It's really fun, it's very good, like, it really focuses on the Doctor and Amy, and you don't have to have a really big situation, you need something simple, but also threatening. And I think the 11th Hour does a really good job of balancing a world-ending threat, but doesn't is not crash bang wallop. It takes its time to do the character work really well. Spearhead did that as well. It took its time to do the story without going heads into it, and it took its time to build to it. But I think the 11th Hour is slightly better, in my opinion. Slightly more. I slightly prefer it. And yeah, it's still one of the best stories of the 11th Hour Doctor to this day. I think I would rate it third of my fate of the 11th Doctor story, second of Series 5. And I think it probably came 7th on my 2010s list. So yes, I probably would put Rosa and Demons of the Punjab above this one, and then it would be the top 2 11th and top 2 12th Doctor stories, which I've already mentioned. Yeah, this is absolutely a brilliant start. Geronimo. And whilst we're here, let's just establish right now, Stephen Moffat dominates the top 3. But its 10th Doctor is the other 2 10th Doctor stories he wrote, besides Science Library, Forest of the Dead, that are next up, starting with, this is probably an interesting choice now, considering feelings towards it have kind of gone down a little bit. Number 2 is The Girl in the Fireplace from Series 2, airing in May 2006. This episode is still really popular, but I think the popularity of this one has gone down over time, so I can understand this episode being on the list, even top 10, but number 2, I think it's a few years late to be credible for that. I think top 5, maybe? But I think now, I don't think many people would put this episode as second best or top 3 of revival episodes. Many people even consider it the weakest of the Moffat scripts from RTD1, besides maybe Time Crash. I would agree. I think this is the weakest of Moffat's 4 scripts for RTD2, but it's still really, really good. It's still one of the best episodes of Series 2. I think I ranked it second of Series 2 after the Impossible Planet 2-parter. I think I gave it 10. I gave all of those 4 stories 10 out of 10. Time Crash I gave a 7, but that's mainly because I think the 5th Doctor's character was done incorrectly. It's nothing like the 5th Doctor. Why get Peter Davison back and you don't have him act like the 5th Doctor? Unless it was supposed to be a 5th Doctor if he had stayed on for a 4th series, but it felt more like the 6th Doctor rather than the 5th Doctor. I don't know. But anyway, Time Crush aside, the Moffat scripts and also with 11th Hour off as the following script after those, that's 5 10 out of 10s in a row. Stories, 7 for episodes. And heck, even Time Crush is fun, even I've got some kind of niggles about the characterization of 5. But yeah, it's But I don't think Gun in the Fireplace I wouldn't rank it second highest of the revival. I've already told you what my second highest would be. It's Bad Wolf and the Parting of the Ways. Well, I suppose that'd be 2 and 3. Going by this list's rules, Parting of the Ways would be number 2 if I had to choose specifically. Like I said, I think if this list was done a few more years ago, I can understand this one being second. But I think more people have kind of gone against it, or maybe not found it as good, maybe found it a bit overrated. I know some people find it quite overrated anyway. But yeah, I think it's gotten a bit more overrated. Like, more people find it more overrated now than they probably would have done, say, at the start of the decade. So I don't think many people would agree for this one being second on the list. I think it's a top 50 contender. I wouldn't be surprised it being top 10 or even top 5, but I think top 2 is I think you're pushing it. And that's coming from me, who gave it a 10 out of 10. But again, I think there's other 10 out of 10s better, including 2 of the other 3 Stephen Moffat written scripts for RTD1. The third, that's what we're ending on. But yeah, out of those other 3, there's one of which we're ending on. The other 2 I would also put above Gun in the Fireplace, is basically what I'm saying. Alright, so number 1, you all know what it is. You all love it, or don't. I don't. This one's also got some kind of pushback from being number 1 on X. It is, of course, Blink from Series 3, airing in June 2007. My personal favourite 10th Doctor episode. My second favourite of the 2000s. And another episode that's a contender for top 10 of everything. If I make that video, that's a contender for top 10 of every single story. And I think it's my mum's favourite story, this or Day of the Doctor, like me. It's got the reputation for a reason. It even made it into the show properly with Lux, which is not on this list, which I'm also not happy about, by the way, because that's my favourite 15th Doctor story. They had Twice Upon a Time over Lux. You what, mate? You what? People's different opinions, but still. Anyway, Blink's got that reputation. It even came second in the Doctor Who magazine polls twice, and in the third came sixth. 2009 and 14, respectively, for the former 2, and 2023 for the 6th place one. But then again, World of Time Doctor Falls was second and Heaven Sent was first, so it's sort of it's still a Stephen Moffat second place scoring one for the most recent poll. So Blink was sort of there in spirit. Heaven Sent sort of become the new Blink in terms of the fan reception after that episode aired. Blink's reputation in the fan base has somewhat decreased a little bit. I think some people do find it overrated now. There was quite a bit of pushback on X about it being higher than this. Some people even joked that the fans from Lux were the ones who made the list. And I did think, whilst it's funny that you got fans all saying the same episode title, I think it would have been funnier if someone's had a different one. I did mention that in the review at the time. Or the reaction and then the review, or both. Blink is one of my favourites, and going into this, I would not be surprised to hear, by the way, Blink's number 1, now read the rest. Or I could suspect it being on. This Midnight Heaven Sent, I could expect to be the ones to be chosen. Those are the 3 episodes I would expect would be placed number 1. And then you got some like Human Nature, Family of Blood, Dalek, some of the World Enough and Time Doctor Fall, some of those would be also contenders, but it's typically usually this Midnight or Heaven Sent, maybe 11th Hour, but that's usually more of a top 5 than a top 1. So honestly, I'm not surprised Blink won. It's got the reputation, and for good reason. It's maybe people might find it a bit overrated now. In which case, that's your problem. Not the articles. That's your problem. If the people writing this article genuinely think Blink's the best story of the revival, then yeah, it's their opinion. You might find it overrated. Then again, I think Midnight's a little overrated, and I still gave it a 10 out of 10. I think Genesis of the Daleks is a bit overrated. I still gave that a 10 out of 10. So yeah, you're allowed to think it's a little overrated, but you can let the guys have their opinion. I will say though, it is too expected. It is too predictable, which is something that I would not say for some of the lower ranking stories like Waters of Mars, Nothing Time. I would not have expected those to be that low down. And similarly, there are some stories that I think surprised to be on the list in the first place. Like Power of Three made it into the 30s. In terms of episodes that I think were snubbed of placements, I've already mentioned Bad Wolf Path and the Ways and Wild Blue Yonder. Lux, as I just mentioned, that was, I think, a lot of 13 and 15 stuff that is actually genuinely good. And there are fans of those episodes, or there's fans that will acknowledge those episodes are good or really good. Some really strong ones out there, actually. I think there's quite a few of those that have missed out. We only had the 1/15th Doctor episode. But, like I said, Lux, Church and Ruby Road, I know that's another one that, quality of the episode depends on who you ask. Boom. I'm surprised Boom's not on there, because that one had a tongue buff and a half when it came out. Fans were licking it up. Besides me, I wasn't really that huge on it, and one or two others. That one's definitely a bit overrated. I still gave it an 8 out of 10, but I think it's a bit overrated. I prefer Joy to the World, actually, to be honest. Even if Boom's objectively probably better, but I prefer Joy to the World. But yeah, I'm expecting Boom's not on there. 73 Yards and well, come to think of it, because that one was very well praised at the time. Again, depends on who you are, how you feel. 13th Doctor stories, I think, could have been on that list. I'm not saying should, but could have been. Rosa, Flux, if you were counting the episodes individually. Chapters 2 and 4, War of the Sontarans and Village of the Angels. Speaking of Maxine Alderton, with the latter, she co-wrote that episode with Christopher Will. Haunting of Villa Di Darcy, that definitely, actually, I do think that should have been on there, and Rosa. I'm a fan of Eve of the Daleks. I know that's actually more of that's one people generally don't seem to like, but it has a few fans. I'm one of those fans, so but okay, I can see why that one would be left off. Okay, what about the ones that I may have ranked a little bit lower? Nikola Tesla's Time to Terror. I mean, if you're going to have stories that some fans don't really think are that great on your top 50, I'm going to throw in stories that I think are good that probably wouldn't quite hit my top 50. I don't even know if they'd hit the top 100, but I'm going to shout out Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. Kablam's really good, apart from the ending. Resolution is really good. Gonna throw in some 10, 11, and 12 in there. And Unquiet Dead for 9. I already mentioned Father's Day and Bad Wolf Pathing Away for 9. And in that case, that means there was 3 Ninth Doctor stories on that list. Empty Child, Doctor Dances, Rose, and Dalek. 4 episodes. I guess that's 4 of the 50 were Ninth Doctor. So you could have, I would say you could have a bit more Ninth Doctor in there, but again, 13 and 15 needed a bit more love as well, and 14. You could have had for 10th Doctor. Kind of surprised the first Cyberman 2-parter isn't on there, actually. Series 3. I think the Series 3 episodes that most likely would be on there are... then again, 42 over, say, Gridlock or this finale. And not that I'm complaining, but I would... I am a bit surprised. Series 4. I think Series 4 did pretty well, actually. Even though I would have probably argued for Planet of the Ood. Smith era. Think any that I think that genuinely snubbed? Series 5, I don't think. I think Series 5 was done right. I think Series 5 I agree with what they chose there. Series 6. I think the God Complex could have been an option. Series 7, they only had one from Series 7 Part 1, which was Power of 3, which is probably the strangest choice. But yeah, I probably would have swapped it with Dinosaurs on a Spaceship if I had to pick one from this this couple of episodes. Series 7 Part 2, that wasn't on. Actually, Series 7 Part 2 didn't appear on this list, apart from Day and Time with the Doctor, if you count those. But those are the specials. I'm actually a fan of Rings of Acton, but because of the fan consensus of that, I can see why that wasn't on the list. I'd be pissed if it was on the top 50 worst, though. But judging by this list, I think there's a couple of episodes I think are pretty good that probably would still be on the top 50 list, even if they were still considered good, or at least okay. Same for Crimson Horror, actually, to be honest. That one's my favourite Series 7, aside from Day of the Doctor. So I understand those being on the top 50 worst list. I wouldn't agree with them. And like Mr. TARDIS and Will Maddox, I have to wonder what Rings of Acton did to fans to end up being bottom 10 of the DWM 2014 poll. And I think that was his lowest rated story. And it's still bottom 5, bottom 10 of his stories in the 23 poll. As for Capaldi stories that may have been snubbed, Oxygen, actually all of the Jamie Mathieson ones, besides maybe Girl Who Died, all of Jamie Mathieson, the other three, Flatline, Mummy Orient Express, and Oxygen, all three of those absolutely should have been on that list. Absolutely. Swap out Twice Upon a Time and Dark Water, Death in Heaven with those three, and you don't even have to change the Doctor. I think they'd still be a bit low down. Actually, no, they're fine. Just swap them out for those ones. That's what I would have said. And then any other ones, I think the late two-parter from Series 9 was snubbed. I think that's the biggest snub from Series 9. And then Series 10, as I mentioned, the Oxygen. I like Knock Knock. I think that one's a really good one. That could have been a contender. I think that's all the ones we can round off on, because I think there's a couple. I think there could be a few other contenders as well. But those are the ones I think could have been real contenders for the list. Maybe if they did maybe a 60 or top 60, 75, some of those could be on there. But then again, they could have something out of left field, like say Cold War or the Saranga Conundrum, for whatever reason. That was one I popped into my head of one they haven't had that could end up being on there. Or It Takes You Away, or The End of the World, or something. Like, you could have something that you wouldn't expect to see in a top 60, 75, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had a few more left field placements if they did expand the list a little bit further up. So that's my reaction to the Entertainment article about their top 50 Doctor Who episodes of the revival ranked. Quite a lot of those episodes are on there are ones I expected to be there. Some of them not in the placements I would have expected, and others absolutely. But there's also some episodes that I did not expect to be on there. Some of them are nice surprises, and some of them I disagree with very harshly. And why they counted Heaven Sent and Hell Bent together, I don't. Maybe they think it's a two-parter. It's not a two-parter. They're two singles that are interconnected, but they're not. They shouldn't be counted together. It should be. If you were going to have both, separate them. I wouldn't agree with Hellbent being on there, but I would still kind of get it. Again, I kind of get it. I do not agree, but I kind of get it. I get it more than Twice Upon a Time or Dark Water, Death in Heaven, to be honest. Maybe not this high, but again. Okay, so I guess that's it from me. Sorry this video was quite long, but it was 50 episodes to talk about, roughly, and then a couple of ones that didn't make it onto the list. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you guys next time. Goodbye.